Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all my fellow fighting fantasy aficionados, fabulous ones and otherwise, friends, family, foes, and fans, to yet another fighting fantasy gamebook play day. This is Deathtrap Dungeon, which I'm going to try now for the 10th time to beat. And because this is, as it says on the tin, Deathtrap. It says Deathtrap. There are lots of death traps in this book, as you'd expect. Last time, instead of going through, I've basically mapped out almost everything in the beginning of the game now, basically sort of halfway-ish, maybe a little bit further than halfway even. And so I know where I'm going in the beginning. I'm not going to repeat that and repeat and repeat that because this would be quite tedious for you and it would be tedious for me. So what I've started doing is last time particularly, I started having save game points. So I decide that when I go do something that I can go back and start over from the previous point. And last time, even though I died twice, I managed to get defeated twice. I have established a save game point, I call it, which is just before I made the last stupid thing that killed me. So, if you haven't watched my previous episode, I would advise you to do that first if you want to know what's going on. I will do a recap because I think that's fun to do as well. But if you haven't seen it, I'll put a link to it up here. If that's the correct site, I think it is. And you can have a watch, if you like, of that quickly or slowly or skip it or whatever you like. But so, recap. Yes, Deathtrap Dungeon. In this book, you are, as usual, you're an adventurer, but in this case, you are doing something a little bit different. A little bit of a backstory. So, there is this town of Fang, which lies on the River Kok in the Empire Kingdom, I don't know, of Chiang Mai. And obviously, this book was written after Ian Livingstone went on holiday to Thailand, presumably, since he sort of stole the name of Chiang Mai and the River Kok, I presume, is also in Thailand, or at least it sounds like it could be because it's Bangkok, isn't it? So yeah, it's KOK. And which was a reasonably okay trading place. The city of the town of Fang for a long time, sort of an inland along the river. So you go to, is it on the coast now? I can't remember. Anyway, whatever the case is, it's either it's coastal or it's on the river, on the coast where a river meets, where the river goes into the sea, or it's further inland on the river. I can't remember for sure now. Anyway, that's besides the point. To up the status of this town, a baron who basically seems to be in charge in the town, called Sukhumvit, he invented. Well, he got a good idea one morning, probably while he was shaving. I don't know. And he said, "Oh, I'll build a labyrinth in the hills behind Fang, and people will come from far and wide trying to get through it and survive. So I'll fill it with traps and tricks and puzzles and monsters, and all these great heroes will come from all over the world, hundreds of miles around." It says actually in the book the people come to spectate. I would presume people come from thousands of miles around, to be honest, but. And once a year, there's a big festival. You sort of merge it with the May festival, so I suppose you sort of just steal that, and you make a big hoo-ha about it, and you tempt people with a prize of 10,000 gold pieces, which is quite a lot actually, even by Ian Livingstone standards, and also the freedom of Chiang Mai forever, whatever that means. It's not described in the book, I don't think, unless it says something when you win. But I suppose the freedom of a kingdom means, I suppose, you get some kind of certificate that tells you that you can go wherever you want and do whatever you want, almost. And just like when you have the freedom of the city of London, you can drive sheep through the streets or something like that. I think that's still a thing. I mean, people don't do it, but having the freedom of the city of London allows you to drive sheep through the city. Anyway. So yes, so he built this labyrinth, absolutely amazing and elaborate, as labyrinths should be. Well, not that elaborate actually. If you play it, it's quite linear, but it's basically linear with dead ends and a few branches. Nothing fancy really. But and to test the labyrinth, once it was constructed, he sent 10 of his best armed men into it, and they never came out again. And every year you have a big festival. People come from miles around. They have a big party for a few days. It's like carnival almost, and they celebrate all the contestants, and then they go into the labyrinth, and you never see them again. Yeah, rinse and repeat. I don't know why this is so attractive to people, because nobody seems to ever beat this. But anyway, so basically, you don't know how hard it is. It could be that everyone dies always. So it doesn't make sense to me. You would want a winner regularly, otherwise people wouldn't come anymore. But this is the story. This is the concept. Anyway, so you're a contestant. You are tempted not by the gold, according to the book, although I think you are deceiving yourself and trying to deceive others by saying that. I think you're after the fame and the fortune. Although I don't believe that for a second. This is Ian Livingstone book, after all. It's always about the gold. And you go to Fang to take part in the contest. You get this purple ribbon that you can wear for a few days, one of this partying before the contest starts. And then you go to the hills where the labyrinth is, where the entrance to the labyrinth is, and everyone's cheering and throwing flower petals at you. And you see the other contestants, which are two barbarians that basically look like a typical Conan the Barbarian poster. Very stereotypical. There's a ninja-style assassin. There is an elven lady who is not an archer, but she's a knife thrower, or dagger thrower, which is a bit unusual. And there's a knight in armor as well. And all these are your contestants. And you draw not straws but bamboo sticks to see which order you go into the labyrinth. You go in with half-an-hour intervals, and there you go. That's how you start. Now, once into, I'll just find my map now so I can see if I can remember everything. So I basically mapped out everything in the beginning now. So what I do in the beginning, I go in. There's a place you can find a piece of a rope, and you get that rope. And a little bit later you see a statue with emerald eyes, and you can use the rope. Of course, you can get up the statue without the rope, but it's easier with the rope. And to get one of those eyes, which is an emerald, and one of the gems I think you need to win the game, while getting attacked by two very vicious flightless birds that apparently can fly. At least they're flightless when you look at the picture in the book, but suddenly they fly anyway. And then you keep going, and you find a magical ring which gives you a wish. Where's my character sheet now? And you go on a bit further. You find a ruby. If you let yourself fall into a pit, you get a bit of injuries, but you find a ruby. I'm not sure if you actually need it. But then you go into this sculpture garden, where, of course, the sculptures are just petrified adventurers that went into the labyrinth before. In this, it's called Trial of Champions, by the way. The challenge. So this guy can turn people into stone, and you have to answer a riddle, which is very easy, and you do that, and you're not turned into stone, and you get a bit of healing. That's the first page done. And then you get to a place where, with quite fun actually, you can, if you go make the wrong turning just after that, you get to a place where you're walking up a slope, and there are no alcoves or anything, doors on the side, and suddenly there's a big boulder coming rolling down, and you have to run away from it, proper Indiana Jones style. Very fun. You can still survive that, though it's not a death trap necessarily. Then you get to a place where there is a skeleton that has a piece of parchment that you can pick up, and then of course you have to fight the skeleton because it comes alive. And I suppose you can eat a mushroom. If you eat a mushroom, you swell up, and then that's the end of you. Try that. Then you go to a place where You find sapphire, which is also one of the gems you need. I know that. I know emerald and sapphire are 100% for sure gems you need. After that, you bump into one of the other contestants, which is one of the barbarians. The other barbarian, he died quite early on, just before you find the rope. So very, very early on. You find meet a barbarian, and you actually have to start working together with him. If you just decide to go your own way, you die because you go the wrong way. So if you work together with him, you have a little stint together, you become friends. Actually, it's quite well, I think it's quite well written, because you feel that you can trust him and that there's a certain kind of friendship between you. You have some fights together where you share the burden. There's 2 trolls, you take 1 each, that sort of thing. But then, of course, you meet one of the trial masters, and a trial master, each section of the labyrinth has a trial master that organizes things, and he also has to make sure that sometimes only 1 contestant passes through at a time, certainly. So you have 2 coming at once, working together. They don't want that, so you are given some tests, and eventually you have to fight each other. So you have to fight the barbarian, your friend, who's called Throm, and you have to kill him to get on. So yeah, you kill him and then you move on, and now you're getting to the bit where I've still have some areas I haven't fleshed out yet. So I'm sort of 2/3 of it now. I know everything basically. Because I've done basically not 9 playthroughs. You do learn a lot from that. It seems the theory still is I'm looking for a diamond as my last gem. I haven't found it yet. Last time I was trying out to sort of move onto a different path than where I'd gone before. I bumped into a Medusa that was very easy to defeat, actually. All you had to do was close your eyes and wave your sword. She wasn't really fighting back so much. I suppose you could have turned to stone if you were unlucky, but otherwise that was easy. And then if you make the wrong turning, you bump into some leprechauns, and what they do is, if you're lucky, they steal all your gems. If you're unlucky, they steal all your items. Not really luck. If you make the wrong choice, they steal all your gems. If you make an even wronger choice, they steal everything. And of course, you can't win without the gems, which means that's game over, even though you are allowed to go on. So I think that's a bit, unless there's some bizarre way you can get your stuff back when you move on there. I actually didn't think about that last time, but I'm going to assume that isn't the case. But no. So I decided to go back to a point just before I met the leprechauns and make a different turning and move on from there. So I'll get my stuff ready, and get started. So okay, let's see. I have to do my transition now. Okay, my traditional transition. So boom. Okay. Okay, new camera, so I just have to change my... Okay, so what have we got? So I've got my supplies ready. I got my character sheet from last time, and I sort of circled, as I've sort of done save points. I've circled so I know what I had. Of course, I've got everything, the last numbers and the last set of things now. I got my dice, my pens, and also my lantern today as well, because it looks really cool. And also it does, you can do flashing like this. Very good for signaling. You can do Morse code with it. It's very similar to the kind of lanterns they would have had in the trenches in World War I. And it used to take a huge battery that you can't get anymore. And of course, I just rigged it up for electric, so it's now running on the mains via an adapter. So there you go, nice little piece there. Right, don't really need it now. That's just for fun. So let's get started. So I am at 241. And I've just battled the Medusa and won. And now let's see what happens. A brown velvet curtain is draped over an archway in the eastern wall of the tunnel. If you wish to pull back the curtain and walk through the archway, turn to 393. If you would rather continue north, turn to 291. So we have got just move those up there. So archway 393 and north 291 north and archway. I suppose I have to check out, the thing is, because of the way I'm playing now, I have to check out everything really, so I'll have to check out the curtain there and the archway. So, oh, by the way, somebody might have noticed the cameras are a bit different today, and the reason is that even though I've been using my best camera for my overhead shot, it actually isn't as sharp as it should be because I'm using a capture device that is compressing the video. And that's the only way I can get video that lasts longer than 30 minutes from my main camera, which is this one up here now. Whereas my webcam, which can run forever, is actually sharper, even though it shouldn't really be, because it doesn't compress the video so much, ironically. So it's a bit of a shame that it's like that. I think the thing is, the capture device, I don't think it's getting the proper output from my camera. What it actually is getting is an already compressed stream from the camera that is just meant to be for the screen on the camera, not for the viewfinder. Anyway, it doesn't really work that well. I mean, it works well. It just isn't sharp enough, I think, because you can't see my map properly in my videos and you can't see the text properly in my videos. I don't like that so much. I'm trying to swap them around today because it doesn't matter if my face isn't so sharp, because, well, it just makes me look younger if it isn't sharp. So yeah. Anyway. That's an aside. So, curtain, yes, 393. You enter a cold room divided by a deep chasm. A rope is stretched taut across the chasm to the far side, where a magnificent winged helmet rests on top of a pole. If you wish to walk across the tightrope to reach the helmet, turn to 274. If you'd rather return to the tunnel to continue north, turn to 291. And of course, knowing me, because now that I'm being very exhaustive anyway with everything I am doing, I am of course going to try to get the helmet, even though it's a trap. So you step nervously onto the rope, not daring to look down. Halfway across, you start to panic and lose your footing. Roll 2 dice. And it's a test of skill. My skill is 11. I rolled a 7, so that's fine. So test skill. And fail, which probably means certain death. And success. So that's 238, and failure is 359. And of course now since I'm looking at everything, I just check, yeah. So if you fail the skill test, you die. That's not really a spoiler, is it? And 238. As you fall, you manage to grab the rope with your hands. Slowly you haul yourself over to the far side and scramble up onto the floor. You lift the helmet off the pole and put it on your head. It has been made by a highly skilled ironsmith. Add 1 skill point. Okay, so this is a helmet +1. And of course I'm playing it in the way that this doesn't really say in the rules. It says your skill can't go higher than the original. But then the thing is, when you lose skill in fighting fantasy books, it is usually because you get injured, your arm gets injured, or something else happens. when you gain skill, it is sometimes kind of healing or spells, that kind of thing, but sometimes it's equipment, a better sword, a better shield, a better helmet, and those things you can't use. I mean, it doesn't make any sense for those only to work to increase your skill in the normal sense with cap. It only makes sense for those to give you a bonus in combat. So what I'm doing is I've improved the rules a little bit by saying that, okay, they don't apply to skill for skill tests like this one, for instance, where you're balancing on a rope. They don't apply to that at all. But in combat, they give you those bonuses. That's the only way that makes sense. So now I've got a necklace that gives me +1, a chainmail that gives me +1, and a helmet that gives me +1. So I've got +3 skill, but only in combat. So my skill is still 11, it doesn't go up, but I'm getting those 3 extra points on my attack score. And that to me makes the most sense. Otherwise, those items are completely pointless. And yeah. Especially since you can't lose that much skill anywhere, I think, in this game as well. I think you can lose, well, 1 or 2 places you can, but yeah. So I'm keeping the. So that's the only thing that makes sense. Actually, what it really should say, it shouldn't say increase your skill. It should say increase your attack score in combat. And I think they did that in Warlock of Firetop Mountain, but I think they've tended not to do that later. So I've had to make my own house rule, and that is it. Anything that makes you fight better or protect yourself better in combat, it gives you bonuses to your attack roll, but not your normal skill for opening doors and balancing on tight ropes, etc. So there we are. Yes, where am I at for? Yes, so I'm not wishing to risk walking back across the tightrope, we decide to crawl along it safely back on firm ground. Why didn't I do that the first time? Anyway, you step through the archway and head north up the tunnel. Turn to 291. So we have so helmet +1, and we are going back to 291. So that is a good place to go, and I'll just make a note of that. Well, it's risky, of course, unless you have a high skill. The tunnel continues north a long way before turning sharp right. Around the corner you come to a dead end. Only the mouth of a wooden chute in the wall offers any hope of further progress. You decide to take a chance and climb into the chute. You slide gently down and emerge into a room, landing on your back. Turn to 90. Now, wasn't there a chute before? Yes, there was. So, this one brings us to 90. So that means that now these 2 paths converge. And there's still, I think I've actually seen everything here. So yeah. I still don't know whether this or this is the easiest path. It might actually be this one. Provided, it depends because I did find a gem here. I find a garnet, although I don't think I'll need that. But if the garnet is not, and of course I find a helmet, so yeah, I'll see later which one might be the optimum path. Anyway, so if I'll go into the chute and I go back to where I was the earlier game where so as soon as you stand up, you are confronted by the most repulsive sight you have ever laid eyes on. There in front of you, wallowing in a circular pool of fetid slime, is a bulbous creature too horrible to be believed. Its body is green and covered all over with fearsome-looking spikes. Its face is a mass of crimson blisters, one of which suddenly bursts to reveal yet another of its many sinister, all-seeing eyes. A narrow path runs around the edge of the pool and leads into another tunnel in the far wall. If you have previously read details about the loathsome blood beast in the leather-bound book, turn to 172. And this is where reading is good for you, because I read everything I came across. And I read about the blood beast. I read about a manticore as well. I read about a few other things. I read how how I need to... What was it again? I read something that said the trial masters can't be trusted, which I don't know whether that's helpful or not. And also heard somebody say that if you get to a point where there's something being filled with water, you should just take a deep breath and keep going. So I'll see. Anyway, I have read about the Blood Beast. I don't want to know what happens if you haven't read about it. I presume it's going to be much harder to defeat or even impossible. So, remembering the description of the vile Blood Beast and the warning about toxic gas rising from its pool, you cover your mouth with your sleeve and step forward with your sword drawn, wary of the Blood Beast's tongue. As you step around the side of its pool, it rolls forward and flicks... Well, a Blood Beast, by the way. Yes, that's the lovely, friendly, charming-looking creature there on the cover. It rolls forward and flicks out its tongue, but you're ready for it and cleave it with one swipe of your sword. The beast howls in pain and stretches forward frantically, trying to clasp you between its blood-filled jaws. You start hacking at its hideous face in an attempt to pierce its real eyes. So, yes, it's quite a strong creature. So, but now for combat purposes, I've got 1, 2, 3, so I've got 14 skill. My stamina is at 17, and the Blood Beast has 12, 10. As soon as you win your second attack round, it says 10 to 278. I presume that's when I hit its eyes. So, well, actually, I don't presume. I've done it before. I know that's when I hit its eyes. So I've got a 2-point advantage on my skill now. He rolls 4. I roll a 6. That's 1 hit. That's why I don't really need to. Okay, so he rolls a 4 again, and I roll a 9. So that's 2 hits. And I got 278. Your blade strikes one of the Blood Beast's real eyes with devastating effect. It slumps back into its pool, thrashing about in a frenzy. You seize your opportunity and run round the side of the pool to the tunnel exit. Turn to 134. So that was a success. Okay, and we are going onwards. So we would have read that, wouldn't we? And 34. The tunnel leads into a large room, its ceiling supported by several marble pillars. As you enter the room, you suddenly see a strange beast to your right. It has the body of a lion with dragon-like wings attached to it, but its head is like that of an old bearded man. If you have read the poem written on the skeleton warrior's parchments, I have, turn to 222. You recognize the beast. It is a manticore. Taking heed of the poem's warning, you watch out for its tail, which sprouts a profusion of sharp spikes, thick and hard as iron bolts at its tip. If you have a shield, turn to 196. Now, there are 2 places where you can lose your shield, actually, in this one. One of them is, I think when you get that boulder coming after you, you have to drop your shield to run faster to get away from it. And another one is there's a pit you can jump across, but if you sacrifice your shield, it's easier to get across. So you're given 2 chances to lose your shield. So if you have a shield, turn to 196. When I got here last time, I didn't have a shield because I dropped it at the pit. 196. You raise your shield in front of you just in time to protect yourself from a volley of spikes released from the manticore's tail and aimed straight at your heart. They sink into your shield and you remain unharmed. Swiftly you draw your sword and advance on the manticore. If you didn't have a shield, you would get quite a few spikes hitting you. I think you roll dice for how many, actually, so it can be quite bad. Swiftly draw your sword and advance on the manticore. So 11 he's got, so quite a strong opponent if you haven't got as much kit as I do. So I've got a 3-point advantage on my fighting skill. He rolls 7, I roll 11. It's down to 9 hit points. He rolls 5, I roll 8. He's down to 7. He rolls 9, I roll 2, so I lose 2 points. He rolls 5, I roll 9, he's down to 5 hit points. He rolls 11, I roll 7, so I am down to 13. He rolls a 6, I roll a 6, he's down to 3. He rolls an 8, I roll an 8, he's got 1 left. He rolls a 5, and I roll a 2. That is a draw. He rolls a 5, and I roll 11, and he is also dead. Let's see, I'll just move this up a little bit, like so, so it's inside shot. Also, I got my tea today as well. Right. So I win and I go to 364. So now we are here. So let's see. Yes, and 364 now. Okay. As you are wiping the manticore's blood from your sword, you are surprised to see a small man with a large nose suddenly jump out from behind one of the marble pillars. He is dressed in a tight-fitting green tunic and looks quite harmless, although you are wary of the way he is holding an opaque glass ball with a shimmering green light. "Greetings," he says cheerfully. "My name is Igbot the Gnome, and I am the trial master for your final test. Needless to say, my magical powers are great, so you should not try to attack me." Well, if it was needless to say, why did he bother saying it? Yes. "You may have learnt during your quest that gems play an essential part in the trial of champions. The iron door in front of you is the victory exit, but there is only one way of opening it. 3 gems have to be put into the lock mechanism in a particular order for the door to open. Each gem radiates a unique energy which will trigger the mechanism, if you do it correctly, that is. I will help you to a degree, but first we need the correct gems. Have you an emerald?" If you possess an emerald, turn to 31. I do have an emerald from the statue's eye. The gnome smiles and says, "Good. Now have you a sapphire in your possession?" I do have a sapphire as well. If you do have a sapphire, turn to 376. The gnome, still smiling, says excitedly, "Excellent, just 1 to go. Do you possess a diamond?" And this is, of course, my problem, because I still haven't found a real diamond in this game. If you found the diamond, turn to 62. If you have not found the diamond, turn to 3. So, diamond, and no, 3, and yes, 62. So I haven't found a diamond, so I'm going to paragraph 3. The gnome shakes his head and says, "I am afraid you have failed the trial of champions. Baron Sakomet's Deathtrap dungeon will keep its secrets for another year, as you will not be allowed to leave here. You are appointed my servant for the rest of your days to prepare and modify the dungeon for future contestants. Perhaps in another life you will succeed." And so it ends. Of course, that means only one thing. That means I have to backtrack a little bit further. Obviously, there's no way to get the diamond after the point I was at last time, which means I have to go back to the point where I can take the... It must be somewhere on the right branch here. So, since I'm intent on not sort of playing the beginning over and over again, I will go back there right now. It's quite a short video still. So I will go to 14. So I'm back down here. This is just after the guy with the statue garden, and I am turning. So this guy here is the one with the statue garden, and then I turn. The tunnel leads into a dark chamber covered in thick cobwebs. Clawing your way through them, you trip over a wooden casket. We should try to open the casket. Turn to 157. So I'm going to turn to 157. The casket opens easily, and inside there is a black velvet bag containing a large pearl at 1 luck point. So, luck 9. And, of course, now I'm still on 17. Since I'm going this way now, I will not have... There's one thing I do not have. I don't have the helmet. And I don't have the garnet, although I did actually not put that on my list here, so that's fine. So now I got a pearl. Okay. Right. Yes, 2310. So actually I'm quite sure now that this is the correct path. Unless I just have to check something, because otherwise I'm wasting my time now. Yeah, well, that's not very useful. But, well, hang on. Just give me a moment, because... Okay. Just checking now, just to... It also goes into there. So it must be on this path then. I'm sort of beginning to wonder whether I missed something. Anyway. You reach the far wall of the chamber and see 2 doors. If you wish to open the door to your left, turn to 339. If you wish to open the door to your right, turn to 262. And on the left door is a trap, so I am going to the right. Okay. The door opens into another tunnel running north. Ahead you see 2 stone fountains, one on either side of the tunnel, carved in the shape of cherubs. Water spouts from their mouths and cascades into small bowls at their feet. Will you drink at the fountain on your left, or drink at the fountain on your right? Now, the one on the left gives a negative luck, so that's not. So I'm drinking on the one on the right. Drinking from the right one. And it says the cool water is refreshing and comes from a source which has been sprinkled with pixie dust. That sounds a bit like what you get in bottled water these days, isn't it? I mean, they might as well say it, sprinkled with pixie dust. Add 1 stamina point. I can add a stamina point and get up to 18. And 2 skill points. Yeah, don't have any. I haven't lost any. And if you have not done so already, you may either drink from the other fountain or continue north. So I'm going to continue north. 368. Leaning against the left-hand wall of the tunnel, you see a pair of bamboo stilts. They are securely chained, and you see a label attached to a padlock which reads, "The price of these stilts is 1 gold piece. Place the coin in the slot to release the lock." If you wish to buy the stilts, I am wishing to buy the stilts. I'll need them in a moment. There is a slot in the padlock into which you place the coin. Immediately the lock clicks apart and you are able to unchain the stilts. And I've now got 2 gold pieces. You place them on your shoulder and once again set off north, turn to 234. So stilts. There we are. A little farther on you come to a section of the tunnel which is covered with thick green slime. It looks threatening, so you decide to test it first with a piece of cloth. The slime's corrosive jelly burns the cloth instantly, leaving no trace. If you are carrying a pair of stilts, turn to 183, see that's how quickly you need them. But of course, weirdly, if you don't have stilts now, you're not allowed to go back and get them. So, anyway. You climb onto your stilts and take a few tentative steps across the floor. Your confidence grows and you soon feel able to tackle the walk across the slime. Smoke rises from the base of the stilts as the slime starts to burn them away. You plod stolidly on and finally reach firm ground again. Unfortunately, the stilts are still covered in slime and you are forced to dump them. Well, setting off north, you come to a junction. If you wish to go west, turn to 386. If you wish to continue north, turn to 218. And I got a note here that said do not go west, so I'm going to go north. You soon arrive at a double door in the left-hand wall. You listen at the door but hear nothing. You try the handle, it turns, and you open the left door slightly and peer through the crack. An armed warrior is lying face down on the floor of a bare room with smooth walls and a low ceiling. He is presumably dead, for he makes no movement even when you call out to him. A large jewel, perhaps a diamond, lies just beyond his outstretched arm. If you wish to enter the room and take the jewel, turn to 65. If you would rather continue north, turn to 252. Now, the thing is this where I get the diamond? I know there's a trap here, but I just don't know if it's possible to defeat the trap. I'm going to have a look at this now. I may die again, but I will have to have a look at it and yeah. So I'm going to go to 65. Because at the moment, this is the only place I know that there may be an actual diamond. Have you drunk a potion found inside a black leather book? I have. Turn to 345. Now the thing is, if you say you have drank the potion, what happens is you are told that the potion in question is one that tells you can detect traps and it makes you more aware. So if you drunk it, it tells you that what's in this room is a death trap and then you just leave. So I'm going to have to try and check now and see what happens if you don't drink the potion in case there is a way to get the diamond, but there isn't. So basically this is not the diamond I'm looking for. So, but I did drink the potion, so I can't do that. So I am alive, unfortunately. And I go to 252. Okay. I'm still wondering where the diamond is. The tunnel continues north for quite a distance before coming to a dead end. Oh, and then I get to the chute. There must be somewhere else I've missed, because I still haven't found the diamond. Oh. I still haven't been there. Right. I have to rewind a bit again. And go back to where I just restarted. And go on this path again. And I have to go here. This is the last section that I haven't looked at, I think. So basically, this is also the wrong path. And the correct path is here, here. Must be. Okay, so basically I'll go back to where I started again just now. So I don't find the pearl. I don't get the lock point. I don't get the stamina point. And I am going to probably just start from... I'll start from 59. Ahead in the far distance you hear the sound of slow footsteps coming towards you. Unsure of who or what might be approaching, you look around for a place to hide. You find a large crack in the tunnel wall which lies in shadow. If you wish to stand your ground with your sword drawn, turn to 341. If you'd rather hide, turn to etc. I'm not going to hide, even though it doesn't make a big difference now, because I know... or maybe it makes a difference, because this might be one of those where you get a hint, and if you don't know the hint, you might not be given the option. So, a crippled man with shackled feet shuffles into sight carrying a wooden tray laden with bread and water. He looks tired and miserable and quite unmoved by the sight of you. Tries to walk past. While you talk to him, take the bread and water off his tray, offer him some of your provisions if you have any left. I'm going to offer him one of my provisions, even though I don't have many left, and I should probably keep them. So, 1, 6, 9. He eyes you suspiciously as you offer him a portion of your provisions, but hunger overcomes his fear and he crams the food into his mouth. You ask him what he is doing in the tunnels, and he explains that he is a servant of one of the trial masters, Baron Succumvit's appointed controllers of sections of his dungeon. It tells you he would like to escape, but no one is allowed to leave the dungeon in case the secret of its construction is revealed. You tell him that you are a contestant in the Trial of Champions and that you would appreciate any help. Rubbing his chin, he turns to you and says, "One good turn deserves another. All I can tell you is that in the northern tunnel there is a wooden chair carved in the shape of a demon bird. There is a secret panel in the arm of the chair which contains a potion in a glass vial. It's a doppelganger potion. Now I must go about my duties. Good luck. I hope we meet again outside these infernal tunnels." The man then shuffles off and you continue your journey west. Turn to 109. So, okay. You arrive at another junction in the tunnel. If you wish to keep heading west, turn to 43. That's what I did last time I played. If you wish to go north, turn to 24. That is the only place, I think, that I have left to explore now. The only place. So it has to be here. This must be the right path. Set back in an arched alcove in the tunnel wall, you see an ornate wooden chair, carved in the shape of a demon-like bird of prey. If you wish to sit in the chair, turn to 324. If you would rather keep going north, turn to 188. So now I'm going to... So, do like this. So, 324. So, chair. Or 188 north. So I'm going to sit on the chair. Must be the... Have you talked to the crippled servant of the trial masters? If you have, turn to 256. So that's a very good way to do it, because you're given a hint, but you actually can't just use it directly, because I would feel like cheating in a way. So basically you can't do this. The thing is, when you play it again, you can't sort of claim to have the knowledge, I think, because you really have to do it. So I think it's like picking up an item that you need. So I have talked to him. Let's see. So and 256, yes, or 79, no. I have, so I'm going to 256. Remembering the old man's advice, you search the arm of the chair for a secret panel. You find an almost invisible crack in the arm, which you start to press and squeeze. Suddenly a tiny panel springs out of the arm and you see a glass vial lying in the cavity. You pick it out and read the label, Doppelganger Potion, 1 dose only. This liquid will make you assume the shape of any nearby living being. So we have the Doppelganger Potion as well. Place a strange potion in your backpack and continue north. Turn to 188. Okay. The tunnel starts to slope downwards and finally comes to an end at a deep pool enclosed by the tunnel wall. If you can remember the Spirit Girl's poem, turn to 155. If you have not seen the Spirit Girl, turn to 224. So we have 224 and 155, and this is the one that I heard that it tells you to take a deep breath when you go into the water. So the words of a poem flash through your mind. When corridor doth water meet, do not make a quick retreat. Of course, it's here that she wants you to dive into the water. Now you must decide what to do. If you wish to dive into the water, turn to 378. I'd rather walk back down the tunnel, turn to 322. So you got 322, return, or 378, dive. So I'm going to dive into the water. Somewhat nervously, you take a deep breath and dive into the dark pool. The northern wall does not project very far beneath the surface of the water, and you decide to take the risk and swim under it. You soon start gasping for air and are forced to swim upwards. You try not to think that you may be trapped in an old submerged tunnel and are very relieved when you surface into cool air. You're on the other side of the wall and can see the tunnel rising out of the water and continuing north into the distance. You wade out of the water and check the contents of your wet backpack. Test your luck. Now, I suppose this is where you might lose your provisions because they've been ruined by the water. That also happens in the Forest of Doom. There's a point where you can lose all your provisions. There's more than one, I think. So test my luck. My luck is 8. I rolled a 3, and now it is 7. That's not very good, but let's see. And I need to make space for more stuff here, so I've got to just ignore the pencil mark now. So luck and 112 lucky and 209 unlucky. Okay. So you might have lost other possessions actually. Apart from 2 portions of your provisions which were saturated and are now inedible, all your other possessions remain intact. You repack them carefully inside your backpack and set off north again. So you lose your provisions either way, which is fine. So minus provisions. My provisions are gone. 356. There is an opening on the left-hand side of the tunnel wall. You are standing at the entrance of a large cavern from which you hear a girl's voice crying for help. You can just make out the shape of a human figure rolling about on the floor at the back of the cavern. If you wish to enter the cavern and investigate, turn to 170. If you'd rather continue north, go to 192. So we have... just need to move up here, I think. So we have... This clearly seems to be the right path, doesn't it? So... then we have 170 and that, or 192 continue. Okay, so I will have to enter, I think. I'm entering absolutely everything in this game. And that is a very good picture, actually. As you approach the prostrate figure, you see that it is one of your rivals in the trial of champion. It is, in fact, the elf. And she is fighting for her life in the bone-crushing grip of an enormous boa constrictor. Interesting facts, of course. The only animal that has the same name in English as in the Latin names that are used for for all animals and all plants and all creatures is boa constrictor. In Latin, boa constrictor is boa constrictor. So, yeah. The only one. Absolutely only one. If you wish to help her, turn to 281. If you would rather leave her to defend herself and walk back to the tunnel and head north, turn to 192. So, of course, I'm going to help her. So, let's see. You can go there or there, but then you come back there and help 281. Help. With one swipe of your trusty blade, you behead the boa constrictor. You uncoil its massive body from around the elf and try to resuscitate her. Her eyes open a little, but you can see that there is no hope. She looks at you and smiles and says in a whisper, "Thank you. I know it's too late for me, but I will tell you what I have learned. Your way out lies ahead, but you need gems to unlock the final door. One of them is a diamond, but I do not know what the others are. Alas, I have not found a diamond, but would urge you to look for one." So basically this is what I've been deducing the whole time. And of course I learned earlier when I got to the door that you definitely need the diamond. Good luck. Her eyes close and she slumps down onto the cold floor. You watch sadly as she breathes her last. Knowing she would not mind, you take 2 of her daggers and search her leather backpack. Inside you find some unleavened bread, a mirror, and a bone charm in the shape of a monkey. Let's see. So mirror. So let's see. Mirror. Monkey. 2 daggers. You wish to eat the bread. Turn to 399. Okay, so and 192, 399. Eat. I suppose I'll try to eat it. The bread contains secret elven healing herbs. Add 3 stamina points. So now I'm back to 19, which is the maximum. Feeling sad yet strong, you pack away the mirror and the charm and leave the cabin to head north. Turn to 192. I suppose it's better that she dies now than having to kill her later. Anyway. So, walking along the tunnel, you notice an iron grill in the floor. If we wish to stop and lift it up, turn to 120. So, we have 120. Grill. Or 292. Walk on. So I'm going to open the grill, of course. Lying in a hole about a meter deep, you see a grappling iron and a leather pouch. If you wish to reach down for them, turn to 228. Well, I've been doing this a whole game now. This might be a trap, of course, but I'm going to go for it. So, 228. Reach all. You reach down into the hole. Suddenly your blood runs cold as you feel something warm and sticky wrapping itself around your arm. You manage to pull your arm out of the hole, but a hideous tentacle limb with unbelievably strong suckers is clinging to your arm. By the time you manage to cut yourself free, your arm is trembling with pain. Test your luck. My luck is only 7. I rolled a 6, so I'm still lucky. So I'll test luck and unlucky, lucky, and 350. So I was lucky and go to 150. Having had the sense not to put your sword arm into the hole, the effects of the tentacle arm are not too serious. Lose 1 skill point. I suppose you would have lost like 3 or something if otherwise. And this is a kind of skill point that seems fair enough to reduced from actual skill, not attack score. You reach back into the hole and pull out the grappling iron and the leather pouch. Inside the pouch you find a tiny brass bell. So brass bell. And the grappling iron. And then I go to 292. A door comes into view in the left-hand wall of the tunnel. You listen carefully at the door but hear nothing. The door is not locked and the handle turns easily. If you wish to open the door, turn to 93. I'll keep going. Let's see. So So door 93 door, or keep going is 230. Go. Okay. So I'm going to open the door, of course. The door opens into a small, dark room, which is empty apart from a sturdy wooden chest lying on a shelf on the far wall. The floor is thick with dust, and you can clearly see fresh footprints leading from the door to the chest and back again. You wonder whether one of your rivals is still ahead of you on the walk. Do you? I mean, you see the footprints. Or whether the chest has only recently been placed on the shelf by one of the trial masters. You wish to enter the room and open the chest. Turn to 284. So, of course, I have to check this one out. So, I sort of suspect that whatever's in the chest has been taken. Have you drunk a potion found in the black leather book? Oh, okay, so that's another one of those. We have turned to 398. So potion. Yes, 398 or no. 57. So I suppose again that means that this is a death trap probably. Let's see. 398. Although you cannot see any visible trap, you have a strong feeling that the chest contains a hidden danger. The potion of trap detection is working well. You stand to one side of the chest and lift the lid with your sword, holding it at arm's length. As the lid rises, an iron ball hanging on a cord swings back and breaks a glass capsule fixed inside the lid, instantly releasing a gas. Fortunately, you have time to jump back without inhaling the poisonous fumes. Once the gas has cleared, you walk back to the chest and look inside it. There is a pendant chain lying in the bottom, but somebody has taken the stone from its setting. Aha, so this is my theory. I think my theory is still good. I think the ninja has the diamond. You feel so annoyed that you throw the chain onto the floor and storm out of the room up the tunnel. Yeah, that's going to help, isn't it? Turn to 230. So that means one doesn't need to do that technically. So let's see, we are now at I suppose you don't really need to do that. I'll just do like so. I still don't know whether the grill is going to be, or what I found there is going to be of any use. The tunnel starts to widen. Ahead you see it open into a huge cavern from where you can hear the sound of many high-pitched voices. You creep up to the entrance and take a look inside. There are about 20 tiny people with long noses and ears running in a circle around a large golden effigy. Will you walk up and talk to them, try to creep past them, or drink a doppelganger potion? Well, I suppose this is probably the only place you can use doppelganger potion, so I'm going to use my doppelganger potion. So we have 385 doppelganger potion. Then there is 88 talk. 5 creep. So potion 385. You pour the contents of the glass vial into your mouth and swallow the clear liquid. Although you do not feel any immediate change, you hope that the potion will create the illusion that you are a troglodyte, just like the ones in front of you. Taking a deep breath, you step boldly into the cavern. The troglodytes continue their tribal dance, believing you to be one of them. You walk past them casually and head north. Unfortunately, the effects of the potion are short-lived. Suddenly you hear it shriek behind you as one of the troglodytes spots you, and you are forced to run across the cavern floor. Ahead you see an underground river running east to west through the cavern and a wooden bridge crossing over it. As you run over the bridge, turn to 318, for which you dive into the river, turn to 47. So we've got... bridge or swim. Right. Right, bridge. I don't know, swimming usually is a bit risky about bridges. I think I'll go with the bridge. Try the bridge. After crossing the bridge, you run across the cavern floor. At last you see a tunnel in the far wall, which you race down until you reach its end at a heavy wooden door. The door is locked. If you have an iron key, turn to 86. I do have an iron key. The bridge was fine. Let's get my water ready as well. 2 seconds. Okay. So iron key, question marks. Iron key. I do have an iron key. Oh, I picked up. Don't I? Let's see. Where was the iron key again? It's been going back and forth a little bit now, so I'll just do... I do remember picking up an iron key. Where did I get the iron key? I didn't make a note of it on my character sheet. I'm quite sure I found an iron key. Now I can't remember where. Anyway, I'm sure I had the iron key. Turn to 86. Oh, that's 318. Start to make a note of both paragraphs there before I go any further. So we have no key, 276 or 86. The key turns in the lock and the door opens into a four-way intersection of the tunnel. There is nothing to be seen either to east or to west, apart from the now familiar ceiling crystals giving off their dim light. Suddenly you hear a voice calling you. This way, you're on the right track. It seems to be coming from somewhere directly ahead of you. Your curiosity gets the better of you and you decide to walk towards the beckoning voice. Turn to 187. So 187. The tunnel bends sharply to the right, and around the corner you see a little old man with a long beard cowering behind a large wicker basket. The basket is tied to a rope, the other end of which disappears into the ceiling. The old man sounds very worried as he says, "Do not attack me, stranger. I pose no threat to you. I am here simply to help you. If you would be so kind as to offer me some sort of remuneration, I will gladly haul you up in the basket to the upper level, and believe me, that is where you ought to be. You wish to give the man something from your backpack for his services, turn to 360. If you rather walk past him down the tunnel, turn to 280. So, 280. Or 360. Pay. So I'm going to pay him something. After paying off the old man, suppose I gave him... What did I give him? I gave him a gold piece, I guess. After paying off the old man, you climb into the wicker basket and watch as it tilts his head back and shouts, "Pull it up, Ivy!" The rope goes taut and the basket rises jerkily off the ground. As you are hauled higher and higher, the old man calls out to you, saying, "You like Ivy, she's a nice girl. You call her Poison Ivy." He starts to laugh uncontrollably, and you wonder somewhat apprehensively just who is hauling you up. The basket goes through the ceiling and you find yourself in a small chamber face to face with an ugly old female troll. Her face is hairy and covered with warts. With a huge hand she reaches forward and hauls you out of the basket, which she then lets fall to the floor below. She grabs you round the throat and says in a husky voice, "I want paying too." Will you offer her something from your backpack, try to talk your way out of giving her anything, or attack her with your sword? Well, I suppose I'll... Yeah, okay. Maybe I'll try to talk with her. Let's see, so 297 offer, 328 talk, or 211 attack. I'll try talking, see what happens. You gaze around Ivy's room. Seeing a painting of another troll hanging on the wall, you ask her if he is any relation. Suddenly her mood and expression change. She loosens her grip on you and smiles, saying, "Oh yes, that is my dear beloved brother, Souribelly. He has done very well for himself down south in Port Blacksand." Didn't we meet Souribelly in the City of Thieves? That name sounds very familiar. He is now an Imperial Guard in Lord Azza's elite troop. Didn't we kill him at some point in City of Thieves, actually? Isn't he one of the guys? I think he's one of the guards that you find when you are next to the city wall, just before you leave the city. Anyway, I'm very proud of him. Ivy stares at the painting and continues to praise her brother. If you wish to slip out of the chamber through the door in the east wall, turn to 125. If you would rather continue the conversation, turn to 99. So, 125, leave, 199, talk. Well, I'll just let her keep talking. Smiling, you tell Ivy that you think she and Souribelly look very alike. Then, while she stares admiringly at the painting, you pick up a broken stool, creep up behind her and smash her over the back of the head with it as hard as you can. Is that in character? Shouldn't you have been given a choice to do that? I mean, really? She was just trying to be nice now and we're having a nice conversation and you hit her over. Who's the monster, I ask? Who is the monster? To your immense relief, she slumps unconscious to the floor. If you wish to search her room, turn to 266. If not, leave by the door in the east wall, which brings you to 305. Okay, so 266, 305 door. And there, actually, when it says, I think maybe that's, yeah, that should have been an extra paragraph there. Anyway, that's a bit inconsistent with the way it's usually written. I'm going to search a room anyway, because now I've got the chance to. You search through the cupboards and boxes in Ivy's room, but you find nothing except an old bone, which you may take with you if you wish. So I've got an old bone. Old bone. Leaving the chamber by the east door, you now find yourself standing at the end of another tunnel. Turn to 305. So there we are. The tunnel ends at a flight of stone steps leading downwards. From the floor below you can hear the sound of barking dogs. Have you got an old bone with you? Okay, that was quick. Old bone, question mark. So that means that this is actually the right thing to do. We do that. So, okay. Okay, and we have old bone, yes or no. 253 yes, or 148 no. Okay. You take the bone out of your backpack and throw it down the stairs. The barking grows louder, changing to snarls and growls when the bone lands on the floor. You walk slowly down the steps with your sword drawn and see two huge black guard dogs fighting over the bone. You run quickly past them and on down the tunnel. Turn to 315. Okay, oops, that's the wrong color. Or is it? Could be that this is where you die, but this definitely seems like the right path. Just by virtue of being longer than the other ones. The tunnel veers sharply to the left and comes to an end at a high wall in which there is a door. You hear a ferocious roar from the other side of the wall and you wonder what gargantuan beast could make such a noise. If you have a coil of rope and a grappling iron, well, I do actually, turn to 129. If you don't have these items, turn to 245. So you've got the grappling iron, of course, but if you manage to retain your rope after you used it on the statue, because that's where you get a chance to lose the rope, you have to actually test your luck to be able to keep it. And now that makes sense, because this is where you need it. So, rope, question mark, grappling, iron, question mark. So, oops. 245, no, or 129, yes. You tie the rope to the grappling iron and hurl it over the top of the wall. Its hooks dig into the stone and you begin to haul yourself up. Peering over the top of the wall, you see an enormous dinosaur-like monster thrashing about in a sand-covered pit. Its tough hide is a mottled green color, and it stands some 10 meters tall on its muscular hind legs. Rows of razor-sharp teeth line its gigantic jaws, which open and close with bone-snapping power. There is a large double door in the wall on the far side of the pit, which appears to be the only way out of this section of the dungeon. Will you lower yourself down on the rope into the pit to fight the pit fiend? Throw your bone monkey charm into the pit if you have one, or try to hook the pit fiend with a grappling iron while sitting on top of the wall. Okay, so so 349 fight, 167 grapple, or 361 use charm. Well, not charm in the sense of trying to be a pit fiend whisperer, but charm as in the amulet. Okay. So obviously I'm going to use my monkey charm because that's what I've got. Okay. The pit fiend's jaws snap at the monkey charm and pluck it out of the air. Suddenly its jaws spring open again, forced apart by the charm, which has expanded to fill its mouth. While the pit fiend thrashes around in the pit, trying to get rid of the charm, you lower yourself down into the pit to reach the double doors. In its mad rage, the pit fiend tries to crush you against the side of the wall with its massive body. Test your luck. My luck is only 6. And I roll 9, so I'm not lucky. Luck. Question mark. So we have 377 unlucky or 82 lucky. So unlucky, and I got to 377. A huge beast slams its body against your arm and you lose your grip on the rope. Crying out in pain, you tumble to the bottom of the pit, lose 5 stamina points. That is quite bad. -5 stamina, which brings it down to 14. If you're still alive, go to 203. Okay. 203. You stagger to your feet and draw your sword. You're only just in time, for the fearsome beast is closing in on you fast. This is going to be one of the toughest fights of your life. It is indeed. So we have in the blue corner me, and I've got a skill and combat skill, effective combat skill of 12 now, and stamina of only 14. And the pit fiend has 12, 15. And I think, and of course this seems to be, is this an unavoidable combat? Let's check what happens if you're lucky now, just to see if the outcome is practically the same, apart from losing a bit of... if you're lucky, you actually avoid fighting it. That would have been something. Okay. So that luck roll is really crucial, actually, in terms of whether you win or not, because if you don't make it, you have to fight this really strong opponent. Anyway, so he's got the advantage for the moment. So, no skill advantage. We are on equal terms. Whoever rolls the highest. Okay, he rolls 11. I roll 7. 12. He rolls 9. I roll 10. It's down to 13. And I can't really use luck here either. He rolls 5. I roll 6. He rolls 5. I roll 10. It's down to 9. He rolls 5. I roll 4. I'm down to 10. So it's still equal, really. He rolls 7. I roll 8. It's down to 7 hit points. He rolls 5. I roll 7. He's down to 5 hit points. He rolls 9. I roll 7. I'm down to 8. He rolls... That wasn't a roll. He rolls 3. I roll 7. He's down to 3 hit points. He rolls 5. I roll 4. I'm down to 6 hit points. He rolls 6. I roll 5. I'm down to 4 hit points. He rolls 7. I roll 5. I'm down to 2 hit points. I have to hit him twice to survive. He rolls 5. I roll 8. He's down to 1 hit point. And it's sudden death. Next hit wins. He rolls 6, and I roll 7, and I survive, and he is dead, and I use my potion of stamina, and my stamina is back to 19. Deep breath. Okay. Now these are the battles that are the most interesting, where you almost die. I did have one. Was it last time I had one as well? Or the time before, when I fought the flightless birds that flew at the statue, and I almost died as well. Right. Okay. So I won, and I got to 258. You are exhausted and sit down for a rest on the tail of the dead beast. Looking down at your feet, you suddenly notice an iron ring poking up through the sand. If you should pull the ring, turn to 95. Let's see. Oh, let's just, let's see, 12, 15. And then we have... Okay. Ring or 248. 48 doors. I'm going to check out that ring, of course. The iron ring is attached to a small trapdoor. It lifts up easily, and inside a small compartment you find a finely crafted shield made of the purest iron. Marveling at its splendor, you strap it onto your arm, adding 1 skill point. A shield made of pure iron would be absolutely rubbish. It would be so fragile. Oh well. I mean, pure iron is really brittle. Anyway, I can't argue with the writer, so I'm getting 1 extra skill point. Shield +1 for combat purposes. And I've got 3 + 3 when I'm fighting. Oh dear, oh dear. I suppose if you lost your shield now, that means you would have a shield again as well. So that means that you do not actually need to keep your shield early on if you take this path and you fight the pit fiend. You don't want to fight the pit fiend. You want to avoid fighting the pit fiend. You walk towards the double doors, and so shield +1. The door opens into a tunnel running north. You close the doors behind you and set off once again. Turn to 214. So 214. This is quite a long path. I mean, the other ones I went to into the chutes, they were really shortcuts, weren't they? I suppose I don't want to even get a chute now, because the chute is just a shortcut to somewhere on this path eventually. Walking along, you see a red line painted across the tunnel floor, and notice a sign on the wall which reads, "No weapons beyond this point." If you wish to abandon any weapons before continuing north, turn to 389. If you would rather ignore the notice and carry on north, turn to 181. Of course, there are 2 possibilities here. One is it's a bluff, and if you don't carry a weapon, you are more likely to die. Second possibility is if I do carry a weapon, it will get much worse than if I didn't. Could pretend I didn't see the notice. I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to ignore the notice. I'm just going to keep going. See what happens. The tunnel leads into a marble-floored hall with pillars rising right up to the ceiling. As you cross the floor, your footsteps echo through the hall. The hairs on the back of your neck start to prickle as you sense unseen eyes watching you. Unknown to you, one of your rivals is hiding behind a pillar. It is the ninja, the deadly assassin dressed in black robes. Without a sound, he steps out from behind the pillar and throws a star-edged disc at your back. Instinctively, an inner voice tells you to duck. Test your luck. My luck is now only 6. Is it 6? Did I test my luck once and forget to reduce it? I did, actually. My luck is actually just 5. So I'm testing the luck and I rolled an 8, so it's down to 4. And I am unlucky. So, test luck. And we have 312 lucky, or 45 unlucky. So unlucky, which hopefully will only mean a bit of stamina loss. The razor sharp disc thuds into your back with terrible effect. Lose 1 skill. So, and 4 stamina. So stamina minus 4. Okay, so scale down to 9. Not very good. If you're still alive, you struggle to pull the disc from your back as a ninja throws yet another one at you. Turn to 312. Well, that means you duck, I suppose. The razor-sharp disc whistles past your head and bites deep into one of the pillars. Turning to face your would-be assassin, you prepare yourself as he advances, his long sword drawn. And ninja skill 11, stamina 9. So I am currently got 9, but I got plus 3. So I've got an effective skill of 12. And my stamina is... where are we now? So I had 19 and now I lost 4, so I got 15. Yeah, I've been updating my character sheet properly there. So 12, 15, sorry, I'm supposed to put him first now. So he's got 11, no, 12, 15, me first, and then 11, 9. Okay, so I've got 1 point advantage and I've got more stamina than he, so I'm not going to say anything because such famous last word thing to say. Well, that shouldn't be too hard. So he rolls 2 and I roll 6. He's down to 7. He rolls 12. I roll 3. 13. He rolls 5. I roll 8. He's down to 5 hit points. He rolls 6. I roll 6. That means he's down to 3. He rolls 6. I roll 8. He's down to 1 hit point. He rolls 7. I roll 4. And I am down to 11. He rolls 12 again. I roll 5. I'm down to 9. He rolls 5. And I roll 8. And he is dead. And I've only got 9 hit points left for the Manticore and the Blood Beast. And that's with a stamina potion. Okay, this is not an easy game, is it? Right, so... Okay, so there are 3 options there. I have a kid to get there. And then, don't know what happens if you abandon your weapons. Right, I'm not going to abandon my weapons ever, so I'm just going to put there that you do 4 skill, and then you go there. Okay, so that is the wrong thing to do. So I win and I go to 232. Let's see, so that's 11, 9, and 232. Now he should have the diamond, surely. Oh. If you're unarmed, turn to 286. If you still have your weapons, turn to 320. Now this is where it gets interesting. Armed. so 286, no. 320, yes. Well, I'm armed, so 320. You decide to search in India and find a cloth bag in the folds of his robes. Well, I suppose if you're unarmed now, you pick up weapons. I guess. So it's not as sinister as it looks. Yeah, you pick up weapons and you get your skill back. Okay, so that's fine. You decide to search in India and find a cloth bag in the folds of his robes. Inside it is a flask of water, some rice wrapped in a palm leaf, a jar of ointment, and a beautiful diamond. So, will you eat the rice and drink the water, rub some ointment into your wounds, or take only the diamond? So, I've got... okay. 330, 269, 427. So eat, rub, go. I'm going to eat first. The ninja's rations are basic but welcome. Add 1 stamina point. So my stamina was 9, now it's 10. If you have not done so already, you may, let's see, so stamina plus 1. You may either rub some of the ointment into your wounds, turn to 269. I'm going to do that. You empty the contents of the jar into your hand and apply them to your wounds. Their healing powers take immediate effect and you feel yourself growing stronger. Add 3 stamina points. Stamina plus 3. Which means I'm up to 13. That's not too bad, I guess. So you may eat the rice, etc. Done that, or leave the hole. So I'm not taking the diamond. So that's the last piece of the puzzle. After a long walk down the tunnel, you come to a dead end. A large mirror reaching from the ceiling to the floor hangs on the end wall. And in the dim light, you can just about make out your own reflection. If you wish to take a closer look at the mirror, turn to 329. Oh. I've been here before. Isn't this the... Can this be right? Did I read the right... That's not the right paragraph, surely. Let's see. Ah, yes. I wrote the wrong thing. 127. Not 117. Okay. The only possible way out of the hall, as far as you can see, is by using this chute in the northern wall. Aha, so now we got the chute. You decide to give it a go and climb into the chute. You slide gently down and emerge into another room, landing on your back, turn to 90. So now we are back where we've been before, but this time we have the diamond. So we get back to the blood beast again. So as soon as you stand up, you are confronted by the most repulsive sight you've ever laid eyes on. I'm going to skip that a little bit now. So if you read about the blood beast, turn to 172. Remembering the description of the vile blood beast and the warning about toxic gas rising from its pool, etc. So what I'm doing is I'm attacking it and trying to hit its eyes. I have now got an effective skill of 12 and a stamina of 13. The blood beast is 12, 10, and only have to hit it twice. There's no skill point advantage. Whoever rolls the highest wins. So he rolls an 8. I roll a 5. I'm down to 11. He rolls a 7. I roll a 7. That's a draw. He rolls a 7. I roll a 7. That's a draw. He rolls a 6. I roll a 9. So that's 1 hit. He rolls a 9. I roll 5. I'm down to 9 hit points. He rolls a 9. I roll an 8. I'm down to 7 hit points. He rolls a 9 again. I roll 5. I'm down to 5 hit points. He rolls a 3 and I roll 7, so that means that I hit him for the second time and I go to 278. Your blade strikes one of the blood beasts, realized with devastating effect. It slumps back into its pool, thrashing about in a frenzy. You seize your opportunity and run round the side of the pool to the tunnel exit. Turn to 134. So there we are, 134. The tunnel leads into a large room. Its ceiling is supported by several marble pillars. As you enter the room, you suddenly see a strange beast to your right. This is the manticore, of course. I didn't show it properly earlier, so this is what it looks like. So it looks a bit like a lion, but then it also looks a bit like an old man's face there in the lion's mane. And it's got bat wings and a scorpion tail. So if you read the poem written on the Skeleton Warrior's parchment, I have. So I'm going to 222. So I can use my new iron shield. Recognize the beast, it's a manticore, etc. If you have a shield, turn to 196. I have. And I still have to fight it though. But I don't get any spikes. So I've got 12 skill and 5 stamina left. I don't have any more stamina potions. I don't have any more things that gives me stamina back. All my provisions are gone, so this is not a battle I'm likely to win. And my luck is 4, so I can't use luck either. I'm more likely to do more damage to myself, or less damage to him. So he rolls 11, not a good start. I roll 8. I've got that one's gone. 3 hit points left. He rolls 7. I roll 6. I've got 1 hit point left. So now I have to hit him 6 times in a row. He rolls a 4. I roll a 3, and that didn't really happen. And I am dead. Now, obviously I'm very close to the end now, and I know the right path because I've gone absolutely everywhere else first, which is quite a fascinating thing to have done, I guess, because this is the kind of book where you are very easily go off on the wrong path and then you die. So I suppose I could play this again from the beginning and do sort of a, but it would be like a walkthrough. I'm not sure that's going to be that enjoyable neither for me nor for anyone else. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to say that I win this fight because I just want to do the end game as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip ahead to the end game and say that I win against this guy, and I go to 364. And I get to the guy who's asking for the gems. First he asked if I have an emerald. I do have an emerald. Do I have a sapphire? Yes, I do. Do I have a diamond? Yes, I do. So this is where the new things start. So this is, there's still one puzzle left. The gnome jumps in the air yelling, "Well done." Nobody has ever managed to find all 3 gems before. Now get ready for the final test, which I will explain once and once only. So listen very carefully, I shall say this only once. As you can see, the lock on this door has 3 slots labeled A, B and C, each of which is built to accept a specific gem. You have to put one of your 3 gems in each of the slots in the correct order. If you manage this at the first attempt, fine. However, if you put the gems in the wrong slots, you will be blasted by a bolt of energy from the lock, causing you injury. Anyway, as I said, I am allowed to help you a little. If you place one gem in its correct slot but get the other two wrong, I shall shout 1 crown and 2 skulls. If you place all 3 gems incorrectly, I shall shout 3 skulls. You will be allowed to try again and again until you either succeed or die. Are you ready? Okay, so it's playing Mastermind, I guess. You signal your readiness with a nod of the head and walk forward to place the 3 gems in the slots. Decide which gems you will place in the label slots on the next page. So we've got emerald, diamond, sapphire, emerald, sapphire, emerald, diamond, etc., etc. So we got... Okay. Now, what order should I go for? Should I go for order of value, emerald, sapphire, diamond? Seems too obvious. Should I go in opposite order? Diamond, emerald, sapphire. Might be better. Alphabetical order. Also diamond, emerald, sapphire. Order of number of letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, that doesn't really work so well. So I'll probably start with diamond, emerald, sapphire because it's alphabetical and also order of descending value. So I'll start with going to just, let's see, where are we now? Diamond, yes, this one here, let's see, just move over here. So I'm going to try 132 D E S. You just have time to hear the gnome say 1 crown and 2 skulls before a white bolt of energy shoots out from the lock into your chest and knocks you unconscious. Roll 1 die. Add 1 to the number and reduce your stamina by the total. Okay, so that's quite... Stamina minus 1d6 plus 1. Okay. I'm not going to do that now because I'm only going to do this once, really, because I'm not going to go through all of it again and do exactly the same thing again and again until I get this right. So I'm just going to do this now. So now one of those is correct. I don't know which one. Let's presume for a moment it's a diamond is correct, which means the other option is 392. 392. Which just swaps around the other 2. You just have time to hear the gnome say 3 skulls. Okay, so that is wrong. So that means a diamond is in the correct place. No, actually, sorry, that means the diamond is not in the correct place. So D, S, E. So that means it's a no for sure now. The sapphire or the emerald is in positions 2 and 3, and only one of them is supposed to be there. So if I say that the... Yeah, actually that means that... Yeah, so that means that emerald is not in the last position. So, okay. So let's say that the emerald is correct in the first instance. That means the next one I'm doing is SED, sapphire, emerald, diamond. That's 177. So I'm trying 177. You just have time to hear the gnome yell 3 crowns before the lock clicks open. Okay, so that's the correct combination then. As the heavy door swings slowly outwards, the gnome rushes towards it, hurling the glass ball at your feet. Green gas escapes from the broken glass, and you try to avoid inhaling it. Test your luck. Okay. Test your luck? Yeah, well, I'm never lucky. I want to go for luck. So 243 lucky, 103 unlucky. You breathe in the poisonous gas and start to choke, lose 3 stamina points. Okay, so another stamina minus 3. Still alive, 10 to 77. Now, I think when I calculate the chance of winning this game, I think I'll find this might actually be the lowest of any of the books I've done so far. By a long shot. We'll see about that. You stagger through the open doorway into another tunnel, at the end of which is the welcome sight of daylight. Much to your surprise, you see the gnome lying dead halfway down the tunnel. A crossbow bolt protrudes from the side of his head. The gnome in his bid for freedom has fallen foul of Baron Succumvit's final trap. You walk past him and out into brilliant sunshine. Turn to 400. So, even though I had to play a little bit unfair this time, I think it's fair enough that I'm finish this now before I do too many runs. So today I basically did 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs, and then I had to do 4th really because I had to cheat on the battle with the Manticore, and so 10, 11, 13, 14. So basically this is my... Anyone trying to keep track or anyone doing any kind of competition, finding out how many times it took me to win this one, it's 14. Although I might not have survived the stamina losses at the end there, but so it could technically be my 15th or 16th if I'd done the stamina loss rolls there and tried that. As soon as you appear at the tunnel exit, a large crowd of people begins to cheer and shout. You walk down a path lined with jubilant people towards a small rostrum. And there, sitting under a colourful bamboo umbrella, is Baron Succumvit. He looks astonished, as if he never expected anybody to come through his Deathtrap dungeon alive. What's he doing sitting there when nothing's happening anyway? This could take days. Anyway, now the secret of Fang is known. As the Baron rises from his chair, you climb the steps to the rostrum, bow down before him and watch as his cold eyes stare at you in utter disbelief. You smile grimly as he offers you his outstretched hand. To the deafening noise of the cheering people of Fang, Baron Succumvit opens a chest containing your prize of 10,000 gold pieces. Then he places a laurel crown on your head and proclaims you the champion of Deathtrap Dungeon. Or, yes, he would have done if I'd actually survived. Right. I really just had to finish this one now, so sorry about all the cheating, but the thing is, I could have started from scratch again and probably made it, but the thing is, even if you know the right path, this is one where, and you have maximum abilities, your chances of winning still aren't the best, which means that I might have gone through all of it and I still would have had to cheat in the end to win. So, and I'm trying to do this for my own enjoyment as well as Rod's, I suppose. So if you find it interesting, if I'd had to do 100 episodes doing this over and over again to do it the correct way to win, I don't think you would have enjoyed it as much either. So I'm being pragmatic here. So I'm saying that I'm considering myself the winner with about 15 to 16 tries. I'm going to go with a nice round number like 15 and say I would have got it on 15 tries. 15 save game reloads. So 15th, I think I'm 15th. Which, of course, is by far the highest of any of these game books I've done. The other ones I have sort of made. There's been... in Freeway Fighter I did have to cheat a little bit, didn't I? There was one... I can't remember which other ones I'd sort of got a little bit liberal with some things. I mean, most of them I've actually managed to play through and win fair and square. I think it was Freeway Fighter. I would have been okay probably, but there was a 50-50 chance of losing quite early on, and I knew what I was doing otherwise, and so I just kept going. But anyway, did you enjoy watching this? I hope you did, and if you did, I hope you like and comment and subscribe and all that nonsense that I don't usually remind people of, because I just think people should do it if they feel like it. They should really do it. But yeah, Deathtrap Dungeon is a Deathtrap And of course, I didn't do the aftermath yet of City of Thieves. I will do the aftermath for that. Eventually, I will also do this one. And I think this one might be interesting just to see how low the number can go for your chances of winning. And it'll be an interesting simulation to make because, well, it's lots of combats and stuff. It'll be quite easy to make, but it still will be fun to see the results. Now, of course, that means that next time you see me playing Fighting Fantasy, next time you see a Fighting Fantasy video, it might be an aftermath episode, but as I've said before, they don't seem to be that hugely popular, and people seem to enjoy the playthroughs much better than they enjoy the analysis episodes, but I will do it eventually. So next time it's Island of the Lizard King, and no more star covers. Of course, this is star cover. Now we are onto the green spines and the zigzag cover, of course. And this is the one that I remember from when I was buying my Fighting Fantasy game books, or this kind of style of cover, and numbered on the back. This is supposed to be quite linear and simplistic, I've heard. So I'll see how that is. This one actually hasn't really been played at all. It looks like this has... It's been in the bookshelf, it's been in the collection, it's been put into boxes and taken out of boxes, but it's never been read, would you believe? So, next time, Island of the Lizard King, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I bet it's going to be a lot easier than Deathtrap Dungeon. Okay. So thanks for watching. Thanks for your patience if you've been with me all this way through. And goodbye for now. Bye-bye.